Good afternoon, I'm St.Germain.
Hi,
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Well, I'm so glad everybody's here, and I know we've gone through introductions earlier this afternoon, so I was just patiently waiting, and so I have met the newcomers, and I'd like to welcome you both, CJ and Kathy, and just say we're glad that the old timers are back too.
no, glad to be back.
Well, this is a very big day. It's a very powerful day. And I hope that everybody in this room will really appreciate and understand what we're saying today, because this is a major transition in so many lives, and so many people are going through it but don't really even know that this is what's going on. So we want to give you, as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. All right, so just for, if you have not listened to any YouTube channelings that we've given in the past, they have all successively, if you start back at the beginning, brought through different levels of spiritual growth and raising your vibrations into a little higher each time. So you have been growing gradually over the last several years into a much higher consciousness than what you started that with. And when you're sitting in a room like this, where you are in a spirit-filled room that is full of all kinds of spirits joining us today, not just who you see, it's who you don't see, is also in the room joining us today. And this kind of environment helps to bring your consciousness up too. It's like being in a big meditation. And your masters and your teachers are working on you when you are in this state, because it's a very quiet, peaceful state, which allows for spiritual growth. It can only happen in the now. And when you're relaxed and you're quiet, be still and know that I am God. And in this kind of environment, the I, the God within, can actually manifest, and the changes can happen through God's grace. And that's why we played the song today, Amazing Grace, because grace is bringing you home. And the grace of moving into the consciousness of Christ consciousness. So many people have been not really given all the facts, you might say. Remember, there was a program on television at one time, and just the facts, ma'am. So we're going to give you the facts today. Consciousness has always been with everything, because it's all consciousness. That's another term for spirit, another term for energy. Whatever you see that's invisible, some people can call it prana, chi. There's a million ways of describing that energy that fills you, surrounds you, and manifests in the physical form. And for that to happen is a consciousness. It has different levels of vibration, therefore different levels of understanding. When it is lowered, which we've talked about in the past, giving you great history and details about the fall of man, when it was lowered into the third dimension, the consciousness fell into the depths of good and bad, right and wrong, criticism, judgment, control, manipulation, various ways of being fearful, very much prevalent in the society. So it became a very fear-based society with a lot of victims, and that's third dimension. That is no longer where the planet Earth is, and we have spent many, many channelings talking about planet Earth changing through the more energy coming into the planet. Over the years, and especially the last few years, it is just beaming with love, and we have moved out of the darkness in the planet. And the planet, which was dying 70 years ago, has now been revitalized and has moved actually into fifth dimension. So the consciousness of the planet that you're standing on and walking around on and enjoying has now moved into such a high consciousness of love. Anything that you still have left in your history, your past baggage, your hurts and wounds of the past, regrets, upsets, traumas, dramas, and all kinds of catastrophes, all of those things need to be left aside. And we've had many, many times and opportunities through Archangel Ariel to help people release all that energy over these last several years. And so most of the people in this room have done a very good job of what we call an inner house cleaning. because it's what's inside that creates what is outside of you. And that's what not everybody understood with the DVD and the stories called The Secret. They were very much into producing abundance, which is wonderful, and nothing wrong with abundance and prosperity, but they were doing it from a mental place, a head trip, which is basically coming from your thoughts. And you see, your thoughts create reality, but if your thoughts have not been cleaned out from the negative ones, you're still going to keep getting what you always got. And therefore, The Secret only gave you half of the story. Like attracts like is exactly what happens in the universe. However, if your consciousness is still in the fear, you're going to connect and attract more fear. Whatever the issue is will come back to you because it's like a magnet. And through all the channelings and the help of Archangel Michael, so many people that have come to these deep channelings over the years have been able to clean out past baggage and old harms, and so that they have transformed it into love. That's what Darcy was talking about, is being able to change and spiritually grow beyond the old past history. And so you are now living in the presence of God, which is fifth dimension, which is grace. You are coming home through grace. Grace will replace the fear and the angers and the guilt and all the shame and bitterness that might have been produced by some very difficult karma in your life that is still maybe there, and we will have a healing guided exercise in just a little bit with Archangel Ariel to help put you through that for some of the deepest pains that you might have had that are usually not addressed. So we thought we would address them today. As you raise your consciousness, each time you identify a fear or an anger, a resentment, a guilt, and change it into a loving solution, your energy moves up another notch and another notch until it is higher and higher, and you start feeling better in your life, less powerlessness, to moving into more powerful being in your life. You are less the victim. You are able to stand up for yourself better, take responses that are loving for the situations that come into your life. So you see, consciousness is very important, because that's what really is what The Secret left out, is you have to change your consciousness, not your thinking. It's the invisible that's inside that had to change, not your ego process, but your spiritual process. You see, in fifth dimension, which you are hoping to align with the planet at this point, so that you can stay on planet Earth, because those that are not doing the house cleaning inside and moving more into a loving experience, experiencing the truth of this reality of love that we have on the planet now, those people will be moved into another location for third dimensional experiences to continue their spiritual growth. But those aligning with the planet as it is now will stay and be able to enjoy the better fruits of the Spirit. You see, as you change your heart, open up your heart and let all the love out, you no longer have to protect yourself. As you clean out the old, it's safe to do that. It's safe to be vulnerable. And that's what these channelings have been about, is to help assist you and move you through that process. As you move into higher consciousness, you move from fear into anger, into grief, into regrets, various things that move up the scale of consciousness or vibrational energy. And as you get into willingness and acceptance and move up into happiness and joy and bliss, which is your true inheritance, that's always been who you are. But you can't get there until the old has been removed and the new is now able to finally bloom and manifest in its place. You have always been a Christed person. And this might shock some people, and churches are not going to tell you that. When you were born, it was Christmas. It was Christ's birth. That love inside of you is the God energy inside of you, and you were born a spiritual being on the planet Earth, and you did have human experiences of going through and cleaning out your karma from the past, balancing your energy and releasing it and transforming it into love, forgiveness, compassion, and that unconditional love of being a Christed person. So you see, it's a matter of removing everything unloving, so what is left is the truth of who you are, which is love, and the Christed energy inside of you that you were created with. So to think of yourself as being a human being today in third dimension is not what's going on. Because, as Max said, there is now a change of moving out of those times. And the Earth has done it at this point, energy-wise, and you are doing it in your own particular bodies. The micro and the macro are happening at the same time. As the Earth is changing, you are changing, and as you are changing, your energy affects the changes of the Earth. It is interconnected. As you move into higher loving consciousness in yourself, you can then project it out to others. And that's what you're sending out from your heart. You're sending out the love for yourself out to others, and that's what love is. It's in giving. That love expands outward and grows. You see, love is all about energy and expansion. God is about energy and expansion. And it has to flow out and flow through you so it can flow out. And any dark energy, fear, guilt, shame, stops the energy from flowing through you, and the medicine calls it illness. All it is blocked energy. So you see, drugs don't really solve a thing. It's going someplace where you can find a person who changes, can undo the unblocking, such as the kind of healing Mac and Marilyn do, or going to someone who understands chakras, who can clean your chakras. Reiki masters, right? Marilyn does Qigong. Flower essences help move the energy. So those are the things that really make you well, healthy, and spiritually in the place of your birthright. And that's what helps you to move into attracting the love that you want. And so as you send out that love, it comes back to you like a mirror. When people say, well, nice compliments, you have sent that out and it came back to you. When you send out love to somebody and you feel what a loving thought they are bringing you, that's something that you've sent out. Some people call it like a boomerang. You've got to give it away to keep it, or if you don't send it out, you ain't going to get it back. So you've got to learn how to change what you're sending out so it does come back the way you want it. And that's the consciousness in your heart, the consciousness of your soul. And that is who you truly are. And that's what needs to change. So when instead of just your thinking, you move beyond thoughts and words into the invisible world of spirit. You are now a spiritual being releasing the human faults and shortcomings. The people in this room are no longer human beings, but spiritual beings. Claim your new heritage. Claim your new citizenship. Own who you are as a child of God, knowing you were created in that image and that love and that unconditional love, and always have been. It's just been the third dimension that blocked it from your vision. Look beyond appearances. Look as you're looking out around you, look for the Christ in those people around you. Look for the good in them. Look for the love in them, because the negative energy will just dispel as you do that. You see, love heals. And that's what medicine doesn't understand. And that's what religion doesn't always understand. But spiritual growth is the answer, not only for moving spiritually into the Christ consciousness, but the peace on earth everybody wants. When you find peace inside, you send it out. They send it out to others. We had a talk about this in channeling several years ago about the exponential extension of energy and how many people it can affect. Just one person sending out love to another person can have a humongous effect on the whole planet. So you see, you are moving into the fifth dimension, and yes, Mac, when John wrote those chapters, some of the chapters are actually talking about changing the chakras into healthy chakras that actually allow that loving energy to flow from God's source out through the human body so that it actually is manifesting and functioning as it was intended to. And they have given different terms to the chakras in the Bible, in his writing. But that's what he was talking about when he talks about the 7 churches. Those are the chakras. You see, the book was written in allegory. So if you understand that some of the symbols, or all of the symbols actually, of the different descriptions are actually explaining wonderful spiritual answers that now today are actually happening in your world, in this wonderful planet, and it will become a world with peace, a peaceful world, because you will be moving into that peace. And it's all about grace. Grace will bring you home to the presence of God. When you only see love in yourself and extend it to others, you will be in joy. You will be in gratitude. You will be in the presence of God, and that is home. You see, the presence of God is now. It wasn't in the past. It wasn't coming in the future. In this very moment, as you're sitting here, you are one with God. That is the answer to all life's problems. When you are one with God, there is no illness. There is no fighting. There is no disease. There is no old age. There is none of the limitation or the scarcity or the need or the lack. You see, cancer will never be solved by a pill or a drug because everybody's emotional state is different. It's their own experience that they're healing. There's no one pill for that. For the 8 million people on the earth, there's going to have to be 8 billion rather pills. Everyone has their own experience to heal, to find the peace within. And when you found that, then you will have moved into the grace of God, where God's grace is sufficient. And you will no longer have to work hard to pay the mortgage payment. You will no longer have to worry about supply to make sure the bills are covered, and to all the things of the earthly world that you've been taught that you have to do to survive and make it in that world. It won't matter if you have a savings account because God's grace will supply what you need. It will be there as you need it. It will show up maybe even before you need it. You might not even know you need it and it shows up. It just happened several times in Marilyn's case. So as you send out love, love goes before you and clears the path, and your life becomes like dominoes just falling into place. Like, oh my, the next thing just worked out. The next thing just worked out. So you see, even though sometimes it feels like brick walls come up in front of you, Darcy, God opens a window and you just move forward beyond that particular situation because it wasn't the right one.
I got it. Thank you.
So you see, God knows better what you need than what you might think you need yourself. So we move beyond words, we move beyond thoughts, into the energy which is within, the God, the Father within. The Father and I are one. I live, but my Father doeth the work. The Father liveth in me. The I in you is the energy in you that actually manifests out around you when you've cleared out your house cleaning. That I, the energy of God, whatever you choose to call your interpretation of God, it doesn't matter. Some people have different terms. And I knew one person Years back, they used to call her god Harry, and it's still energy, and you can call your energy by any labels, and energy has been called all kinds of things by many, many scientists, and they're talking about the same thing the spiritual people are talking about. So you see, labels are not important. The meaning in your heart is what is important, not the words that you label things with from the ego. But what does it mean in your heart? When you move into your heart, you move into the spiritual being that you are. You move into the presence of the love that has existed and always has existed, but it's no longer blocked from your experience. You are no longer afraid to let love out, and you're no longer afraid to let love in. There's a continual flow that never stops, and it supplies all your needs. Everything that you need is taken care of. Your Father knows before you do what you are in need of. So you see, fifth dimension is going to be a beautiful, beautiful experience. As you claim your Christ consciousness, that's all you will see around you is nothing but unconditional love, forgiveness, compassion, caring, prosperity, abundance, unity, cooperation. There will not be conflict, and there will be not competition. The entertainment will look differently rather than competing teams against another team, or the violence on television will be, entertainment will just look very, very different in the new coming days and years. And you will not even be interested in violent or types of situations that put people in harm or exploit people or are dangerous to them. That will not be entertainment anymore. So you see, the changes are big, they're coming, and they're monumental, and they can only happen a little at a time. Your bodies cannot handle a big jump of faith that this takes all at once, or it would, the circuit is like an electric circuit. The circuit will go poof, and you would not be able to handle that. You would maybe end up in a hospital because you couldn't handle all that energy at once. So as the good loving energy comes in with the changing of times, know that little by little, actually it is growing in profound ways. Just accept the wonderful, nice little gifts that start coming your way. G-O-D, gifts offered daily. And know that also it's coming in an orderly fashion. So it'll fall into place, Dorothy, just as it's intended to. And that's another way of saying God is in my life, because it's coming together in a very orderly fashion. You see, this new world is the first time in history. This is monumental. And that you people are here today to enjoy and understand and hear this information. It's not common to the general public. They are not informed yet that this is happening. It has not been quite the right time for all the announcements of the changes coming. But little by little you've noticed whistleblowers showing up in the news. Little by little you've noticed that people are standing up for, we're not going to be victimized anymore. We're not going to be used and abused by institutions or by corporations. You've noticed people standing up and taking responsibility. And that's the change. Those are the changes happening. The chaos and crisis has to occur for it to come up to be dissipated and loved and resolved. And you are facing on your television sets the last of the energy that's coming up to be finally healed, so this new age can finally occur in big ways as it moves. Probably taking another 20 years for it actually to settle into the new age, that where the laws have been changed, so it's not so punitive. The laws will be more supportive of situations rather than not as equitable as they have been. Things are going to be changing here and there all over the place. You're going to notice huge changes. The biggest change is that you will not have to die to live in heaven on earth. Your human body is being altered and has been for the last several years, from a carbon-based body, which was third dimensional, into a crystalline body, which is of the fifth dimension of grace and Christ consciousness. Many of your aches and pains, your dizziness, your feeling out of balance, vertigo some people call it, various difficulties that have been going on with you are actually your energy of the universe coming in and healing various parts of your body so that they are becoming crystalline, and your body will then be aligned with the planet, which is now fifth dimension. If you do not allow your body to take these transitions and adjust into this higher consciousness that will keep you on planet Earth, that's up to you. That's your choice. It is always a choice. The choice when you're feeling a pain is to say, pain is not of God, it's not aligned with God, I choose to be aligned with God and release this pain. Some people would say, Satan, get thee behind me, but it's not of God. Anything that's not of God is the Antichrist. You can choose to be aligned with God, even in the aches and pains that are transitioning your body. If it is very painful, say, Satan, get thee behind me, it is not aligned with God. And then let it leave, and let it be resolved by leaving your system, because it will then allow space for more real love to come in and occupy that spot. Love is releasing the fears, so this love is releasing the fears so that it can come in and be who you are. So many people have been afraid to look at their fears, but they're the boogeyman. And you are the framework of where you can say, I'm ready to walk into the room with light, and let the light obliterate the darkness of fear. I don't have to believe in the boogeyman anymore. And that's all fear was, false emotions appearing real. If it's not of God, it's not real. The great reality is deep inside, in your consciousness, which resides in your heart, which is your soul. Your soul is around you, not in you. And our colors of the aura that people will see that emanate from you as you move into this higher space will be beautiful and loving, gorgeous, beautiful colors that will emanate out from your changing into a crystalline body. And your auras will be very, very easy to see compared to in the past where only maybe a few people saw them and could tell you and relate back. You will start to see people's auras because as you change, what you're seeing is really a reflection of you. So you see, you are moving into a physical body in a new world, a fifth dimensional world, which some people would call heaven on earth. And the only consciousness that can survive in that fifth dimension of grace is a Christ consciousness. You came to earth in Christ consciousness. Some of you know of your past histories at La Maria from past lives. And if you have not done a past life regression and cleaned out some of that old energy, I suggest you might look into that. You see, anything you do to move your energy into higher energy is going to benefit you tremendously. So embracing the change, embracing what is coming in forward into a better life that you could not even dream of or imagine. I can't even begin to tell you how much better it'll be because you can't even visualize or think about that at this point. You aren't ready to go beyond what we've talked about today. But it just will get better and better. You will wake up feeling joyful in the morning, balanced and in harmony. It'll feel like, what a wonderful day this is. Oh, nothing is really wrong. Everything is fine. Everything I need is here. I got everything, my bases are covered. Your days will just get better and better with the new age. And the best part is you can enjoy it in physical form because you're no longer a human being, but you've moved into being a spiritual being which has released the physical human attributes which kept you down in third dimension. And this has only happened at this time in history.